Welcome to episode 2 of our series, where we explore the vital role of spirituality in social justice movements around the world. In this episode, we're going to talk about rituals, what they are, why they matter, and how they've shown up in activism throughout history. We'll journey across the globe to see how rituals for justice are manifesting today. Now, what exactly are we talking about when we say ritual? Well, at its core, a ritual is a set of actions performed in a specific order. It's a way of making the invisible visible, of honoring the unseen forces that shape our lives. It's a practice that connects us to something bigger than ourselves, whether that's nature, the divine, or our ancestors. Rituals aren't just about belief. They're about experience. They're about feeling the presence of something greater while standing on the solid ground of the present moment. They allow us to transcend the boundaries of time and space, bridging the past, present, and future. In a world that's quick to dismiss spirituality as mere fantasy or illusion, rituals offer a tangible, almost visceral counterpoint. They remind us that there are dimensions to reality that go beyond what we can see or touch. So why do rituals matter, especially in the context of fighting for social justice? Well, they matter because they provide a sense of continuity, a link to our roots, our heritage, our cultural wisdom. In times of struggle, they offer solace, strength, and a reminder of the values we're striving to uphold. They matter because they empower us. They give us agency in a world where systemic forces may seem all-consuming and overwhelming. Through rituals, we tap into a reservoir of strength, wisdom, and resilience that has been passed down through generations. They matter because they connect us. In our shared rituals, in our chants, songs, and symbols, we forge bonds that transcend individual differences. We become part of a larger narrative. A chorus of voices raises in unison, and in that unity, we find the power to challenge injustice, oppression, and inequality. Think about the protests that have rocked the world, from the streets of Ferguson to the shores of Durban, from the plazas of Madrid to the avenues of New York. In many of these moments, you'll find echoes of ritual. Before protesters step into the arena of conflict, before they raise their voices or unfurl their banners, there's often a gathering, a coming together. There might be prayers, chants, or even silent moments of reflection. These aren't just ways to center oneself. They're acts of empowerment. They're declarations that this is more than a protest. It's a spiritual endeavor. It's a testament to the fact that those fighting for justice aren't just marching for themselves. They're carrying the hopes and dreams of generations past and present. Now let's look at some examples of how rituals are showing up in modern activism around the world. Let's start in Nigeria. In the bustling cities and serene villages, a youth movement is emerging, carrying on the legacy of those who fought for independence and democracy. For these young Nigerians, activism isn't just about policies or elections. It's about reconnecting with the spiritual essence of their heritage. Before embarking on protests, groups often gather in spaces filled with lush foliage and echoing drums. Here, amidst the vibrant colors and rhythmic beats, they invoke the Orisha energy, the spiritual forces that permeate their worldview. Among them, Ogun, the Orisha of iron, war, and protection, is especially revered. As the Orisha of warriors, Ogun is seen as the embodiment of strength, courage, and unwavering determination. The youth call on Ogun's energy to imbue their mission with power, to fortify their spirits and guide their steps as they confront injustice and oppression. Ogun's presence is a reminder that they're not just fighting for themselves, but for the very soul of their nation. They're continuing a lineage of resistance, ensuring that the drums of liberation continue to echo across the generations. In the heart of South Africa, the spirit of Ubuntu, the philosophy of humanism and communal responsibility, is deeply ingrained in the fabric of society. For generations, the people have used imbilico, traditional rituals of protection and remembrance. These rituals have been a cornerstone of resistance during the turbulent times of apartheid and continue to play a significant role in modern activism. From community leaders to everyday citizens, people of all walks of life have turned to these ancient practices as a means of finding strength, solidarity, and a profound sense of connection to their heritage. During the struggle against apartheid, activists would gather before acts of defiance or protest. They would perform rituals that honored their ancestors, sought their blessings, and paid homage to those who had fallen in the fight for freedom. These ceremonies often took place in homes or secret locations to avoid detection by the authorities. The rituals varied, but common elements included the use of herbs, incantations, music, and dance. Participants would cleanse themselves and their spaces with herbs and water, creating a sacred atmosphere conducive to spiritual communion. Incantations, or traditional chants and prayers, were used to call upon ancestral spirits and deities for guidance, protection, and strength. Music and dance played a pivotal role, serving as both an expression of faith and a tool for unifying the community. The rhythms and melodies resonated with the heartbeat of the struggle, uniting people in a shared sense of purpose and resilience. In the present day, the Mbologos continue to be an integral part of social and political activism in South Africa. Whether it's protesting against land inequality, advocating for workers' rights, or demanding accountability from leaders, communities often begin their efforts with a ritual. For instance, during protests over land rights and access to resources, young people might wear beads, carry traditional symbols, or perform purification rituals such as smudging with imperpo, a local herb known for its cleansing properties. These acts serve as a reminder of the deep spiritual and cultural roots of their activism. They honor the sacrifices of those who came before them and seek the guidance and protection of their ancestors as they navigate the complexities of the ongoing struggle. Our next stop takes us to Brazil, where the rhythm of samba and the spirit of resistance intertwine. In the vibrant favelas, home to a rich tapestry of cultures and traditions, the Afro-descendant communities are keeping their cultural heritage alive. Rooted in the traditions of candomblé, their spiritual practices have long been intertwined with the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Candomblé, more than just a religious practice, is a vibrant expression of African culture that has thrived despite centuries of suppression. Its influence extends far beyond the realm of spirituality, seeping into the very core of the community's identity, resistance, and resilience. In times of crisis, community leaders often turn to the sacred in search of guidance and strength. When police brutality shook the city of Salvador, residents didn't just respond with anger and despair. They channeled their pain and outrage into ritualized acts of remembrance and defiance. At the gates of government buildings, they left offerings, sang songs, and performed dances that honored their ancestors and invoked the protective powers of Ogun and Exu. Ogun, the Orisha of iron and war, was called upon to shield the protesters from harm and grant them courage in the face of adversity. Exu, the messenger of the gods, was invoked to deliver their messages and petitions to the divine realm, seeking swift and positive resolutions to their grievances. These rituals weren't merely symbolic gestures. They were acts of defiance, a way of asserting their cultural identity and demanding recognition of their humanity in the face of state-sanctioned violence. And finally, let's look at what's happening in the United States. In cities like Oakland, California, the echoes of struggle resonate deeply. The Black organizers have woven a rich tapestry of activism and healing, drawing strength from their cultural heritage and ancestral wisdom. Community grief ceremonies have become powerful spaces for confronting not just the pain of the present, but the trauma of the past. Inspired by African traditions and led by elders and practitioners, these gatherings are a testament to the transformative power of collective mourning. During these ceremonies, participants come together to acknowledge the wounds that have been passed down through generations, the scars left by slavery, segregation, and systemic oppression. They hold space for the grief, anger, and despair that arise when confronted with the realities of racial injustice and state-sanctioned violence. But these ceremonies are not solely about dwelling in the depths of sorrow. They're also about transmuting pain into purpose, anger into action, and despair into hope. Through rhythmic drumming, soulful singing, and spoken word, participants express their grief in a cathartic and communal way. They write the names of those lost to police brutality, racial violence, and systemic neglect on slips of paper, which they then burn in sacred fires. The smoke rising with the names acts as a symbolic offering, a way of sending their loved ones and their stories soaring to the heavens. In these moments of shared vulnerability and strength, they find solace in the collective embrace of their community. The rituals serve as a reminder that they're not alone in their grief, that their pain is acknowledged and honored. By confronting and healing their collective trauma, these communities are not only tending to their emotional well-being, but also preparing themselves to be effective agents of change. They're creating a ripple effect that extends beyond the immediate community, influencing the broader social and political landscape. So, what does it all mean? Why should we care about rituals in the context of social justice? Well, in a world that often champions progress, development, and material gain, rituals can seem antiquated, irrelevant, or even superstitious. However, to dismiss them as mere relics of the past is to ignore their profound significance and continued relevance in contemporary society. Rituals are not just about tradition or nostalgia. They are about recognizing the spiritual dimensions of our existence and acknowledging the interconnectedness of all things. They remind us that we are not isolated individuals, but rather integral parts of a vast web of life that extends beyond our physical boundaries. In the realm of social justice, rituals play a vital role in empowering individuals and communities. They provide a sense of identity, solidarity, and agency in the face of adversity. Through rituals, we connect with our cultural heritage, reaffirming the values, beliefs, and practices that have been passed down to us by our ancestors. This connection to the past gives us strength and guidance as we navigate the challenges of the present. Rituals also foster a sense of community and shared purpose. When we gather together to perform rituals, we create a sacred space where differences fade away and we are united by a common goal. This shared experience strengthens our resolve and equips us with the emotional resilience to persevere in the face of injustice. Remember, we're not just fighting for a better future. We are honoring the struggles and sacrifices of those who came before us. We are carrying forward the torch of justice, equality, and liberation. And as we do so, let us embrace the wisdom and power of our cultural traditions. We build solidarity, empathy, and a deep sense of belonging. Let us weave rituals into the fabric of our activism, for they are not relics of the past, but tools for transformation today and every day. This episode was inspired by real-world events, places, and people, but it's important to remember that this is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual events or individuals is purely coincidental and meant to highlight the universality of these themes. That's all for this episode, folks. If you liked it, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and leave us a comment below with your thoughts or ideas for future episodes. Your engagement helps us grow and reach more people with our message. Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, you are the protagonist of your own story. Thanks for tuning in.